What's up? So, I want to talk about today the pendulum swinging. What does that mean? The pendulum always swings. It really does. And I'm going to tell you how and why and how it's important. So, let's just jump right into it. There are easy times, there are hard times, and the pendulum will always swing between the two. There's always going to be some easier time than the other, there's always going to be harder times comparatively. This goes with everything. This goes to world events. This goes to elections. This goes to the stock market. This goes to inflation, the prices, the cost of living. And this goes on a macro level. It also goes on a micro level when it comes to yourself, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your motivation levels, money, everything in life. There are times of good and times of bad. There's this cycle. Essentially, it's a saying, and it goes like this: hard times create strong men. Those strong men create good times, and those good times create weak men, and those weak men create hard times. Those hard times create strong men, and the cycle goes. You don't want to be a victim of this. This is a spiritual law or a hermetic principle, or you can go into detail, or I guess I could go into detail on that in a different day. I don't want to, but it's a key principle to remember, to keep in mind, that the pendulum always swings. That being said, it is not necessarily a law in the sense that it has to. It 100% has to. That's just what the tendencies are. And so you can actually change those tendencies if you are smart. But if you are just a victim of the way things are, then you don't really have much of a choice but to become strong, become weak, become strong, become weak. You want to be at your strongest at all times. And so this is how you do it. In the times when things are the easiest, you go so dang hard. You don't stop at all. And you make it so that you keep the pendulum. If it's swinging toward the easy side, you kind of pull it back. You try to hold it there as much as you possibly can, knowing it's going to tend to swing in the opposite direction. And eventually it will. But when things get hard, again, you go so dang hard that it doesn't even matter. You outperform other people. And then when things get easy, it just becomes so much easier. You're just number one all of the time. Let's talk about sales, for example. Sales is tough. There's going to be times in any market, in any sales industry, and whatever you're doing, things get hard, things get easy. What a lot of salespeople do is when things are easy, specifically, they kind of coast. They kind of go with the flow. They work shorter days. They hit their sales goal and they're good. But when things are easy and you're doing well, what happens when things get hard? What happens when the traffic isn't there? The demand isn't there as much. Well, you're just a victim to circumstance. You don't want to be a victim to circumstance. You want to be that person who succeeds no matter what. And so I typically look at things that are hard or things that are challenging as an opportunity. If you are trying to build muscle, you're not just going to squat, 20, 30 pounds and that's it. At least not me. Um, if I'm capable of squatting 225 pounds, that's what I should be squatting if I want to get stronger. No matter if I'm motivated, no matter if I'm not. I can't build muscle if I don't create the difficult environment, if I don't create a challenge. And so I look at it as an opportunity. When things are hard, this is me getting to put on more weight in the gym or on the bar when I'm squatting. It allows me to build muscle, build character. And eventually, when things get easier, well, shit, I'm ready. I'm ready to dominate when it comes to that. But I actually prefer harder times because it can create that character. It can create that person who is capable of doing whatever. So I would cherish those difficult times in life, difficult times in relationships, whatever. Those are the opportunities for you to build strength, build character, and make it so much sweeter when the pendulum swings the other way. So before I get out of here, I just want to leave you with this. It's a story. You'll like it. I like it. So you should too. It's called The King's Ring, A Tale of Wisdom. Long ago, in a vast and prosperous kingdom, there ruled a king, known for his ambition and and restless heart. I suck at reading. Just kidding. I'm a beast. Despite his wealth and power, he often was tormented by his emotions, soaring to dizzying heights in victory and plunging into despair and failure. Seeking solace, he summoned the wisest sages in his court. He said, "I'm tired of being a prisoner to my emotions. Give me something, a truth, that will guide me in times of triumph and in times of despair. It must be so powerful, it can fit on a ring, yet govern my soul." The sages withdrew, deliberating for days, their minds bent on crafting a message worthy of the king's demand. Finally, they returned, presenting a plain golden ring. Inscribed on it were 4 simple words: "This too shall pass." The king scoffed at the simplicity. "How can this help me?" he muttered, tossing it aside. But time would soon test the ring's wisdom. One day, a neighboring kingdom launched a surprise attack. The king's forces were unprepared. As the enemy marched closer, let me just side note, the king's forces were unprepared. Why do you think they were unprepared? Was it because times were too easy? I continue. As the enemy marched closer, his advisors abandoned him. His people fled in fear. Alone in the throne room, the king stared at the map of his crumbling kingdom, his heart heavy with despair. In that moment, his eyes fell on the discarded ring. He slipped it onto his finger and read the words aloud: "This too shall pass." Suddenly, a strange calm settled over him. He rose, gathered the last of his loyal soldiers, and orchestrated a daring counterattack. Against all odds, they drove the enemy back, reclaiming their land and restoring peace. Years later, the kingdom prospered like never before. Gold filled the treasury, and the king was hailed as a hero. One evening, at a grand feast in his honor, he stood up atop a balcony, gazing at the jubilant crowd, chanting his name. Pride swelled in his chest, and he thought, "I am invincible." But then, he glanced at the ring on his finger and read the inscription: "This too shall pass." The words struck him differently now. He realized that even this moment of glory was fleeting. The humility he felt grounded him, and he swore to rule wisely, never letting arrogance cloud his judgment. From that day forward, the king kept the ring close, its message reminding him that no victory or defeat is permanent, and in doing so, he found the balance and peace he sought for so long. "This too shall pass," he would whisper, whether in storm or sunshine, guiding his kingdom through the tides of time. That's all I got for you today. Peace.